For Thursday, January 26, 2023 to order. We'll come to order at 6:01. And let me just read through you the agenda and the items I need to discuss for you is for the audience tonight, the City of Glendora utilizes a hybrid meeting format to allow the participation both in person and virtually. And in consideration of others and the business conducted tonight, please silence your phones and any electric devices and refrain from speaking unless recognized. Again, this is a public meeting for the community of Glendora, and we appreciate and respect your participation here this evening. Madam Chair, would you please call roll?
Thank you. So at this time, I will conduct an oral roll call. If everyone can please respond with present when their name is called. Commissioner Holmes.
Present.
Commissioner CC Junior. And then Commissioner Thomas, excuse me.
Present.
Vice Chair Nakano,
Present.
and then Chair Hansen. All
Present.
members are present.
Okay, would you please stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item we have is reordering of the agenda or any additions to the agenda. Does staff or commissioners have any?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to move item 4, which is the water system supply overview, up to special items above above item 2.
Okay, are there any other reorders or additions?
Do we have any objections for the reorder? Okay, seeing none, we will do number 4 first.
Okay.
We'll go on to next to public comment.
Next item we have is public comment period. Public comment period is now open. And we'll invite anybody from the audience or for those online to provide comment. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. You can speak both on and off the agenda.
Currently, I am seeing nobody in the audience that would like to speak. There is nobody on Zoom. And I have no emails.
Okay, great.
So next, we're on commission statements and reports.
Right. Trying to follow the number along here.
I know.
Commission statements and reports. Do we have any? What I would like to do, since we do have 3 new commissioners seated this evening. If you could just give us a little introduction, a 1-2 minute introduction of who you are and what you hope to see accomplished here at the Water Commission. So Mike, you want to start?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Green light's on.
There you
All
go.
right. I figured that color out. Mike Holmes, a lifelong resident of the San Gabriel Valley, born and raised in Monrovia and lived in Glendora for about 30 years now. Recently retired about a year ago. 32 years experience in the public water utility business, and excited to be here to kind of give back to my hometown. Anything I can do to make things better, streamline the processes, or advise and consent.
Thanks, Mike. Pat?
Okay, perfect.
Board and here now for one simple reason, just to help my city in any way I can. I served in the Marine Corps and I joined the Marine Corps for one simple reason: to serve my country any way I can. Specifically, why the Water Commission versus others? It's a huge issue. It's actually a big issue with a lot of my clients in what I, more in Central California, but and it's a big issue to all of us. So I thought if I could help in any way, this I thought was the most important commission of the city to lend any help I can to.
Thanks, Pat. David?
My name's David Thomas. I've lived in Glendora since 1990. I have two sons that we've raised through the Glendora school system. My wife has worked here in the library in our church. I'm a retired optical engineer. I worked mainly on space telescopes during my career for NASA and the national security community. And during that time, I traveled a lot and didn't really have the opportunity to serve my own hometown very much. And I was looking for an opportunity to do that in retirement. I have no direct experience in water, but I have a good science. I have a PhD in optical sciences and I have a good science background. So I'm hoping to bring that kind of background to understanding our water and climate problems, which I think is the most serious problem facing us today.
Thanks, David. Hearing no other comments from.
We'll have to remember that Nakano's on Zoom too. If
Oh,
you can
yeah.
ask him questions too.
Well, Justin, you got anything to say?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize for not being there today. Both my kids are sick, so they're out in the living room and I have to zoom in, but I'd just like to welcome all the new commissioners, in particular, Commissioner Holmes, was at Three Valleys when I was an intern under there. So I'm particularly excited to be, able to work with him, again as well. So, but welcome to all the other commissioners.
Okay, great. We'll remember. I'll look at your picture up here on the screen just to make sure that I remember you're here. Okay, we reordered. We're gonna do the
You actually
water
have,
system and water
you
supply.
missed the director staff liaison statements.
Well, they've never said anything before, so. Okay, director staff liaisons,
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And, on behalf of the city and staff, just want to express my immense appreciation to our new commissioners this evening. We truly value your input. This is a very exciting time for the city. We have a lot going on and we look forward to working with you. So just a couple of updates, Mr. Chair. The infrastructure assessment and our rate study is an initiative that we've embarked on over the course of the past year or so. And so I just want to give a quick update on that. We have completed the comprehensive infrastructure assessment that is comprised of the horizontal infrastructure, pipelines, vertical infrastructure, as well as hydraulic improvements, fire flows and such. And so we actually scheduled a special council water commission joint meeting right now that is tentative for March 14th. This commission should have received an email from our city clerk's office. And again, just provide an opportunity for you guys to give input in that. Secondly is the Irwindale facility. This is some of our wells we have down in Irwindale. We have several wells down there that we're looking to rehabilitate. And I'll provide the significance of that project in my report. But we did enter into a cost share agreement with Three Valleys Municipal Water District, as well as Puente Water Basin. And really the idea is to commence the preliminary study to see what we need to do to really get that facility up and running. And so the total cost for that study was $150,000 and our share was $50,000. And so we're looking to, again, commence that as soon as possible. That's all for me. Thank you.
Ism, was that your water supply overview update?
Oh,
or-
no, we. So we can actually go ahead and jump right into that. Again, with this being the inaugural meeting for three of our commissioners, I just wanted to provide an update of our water system before we get into the meeting. So if we go on to the next slide. Thank you. So just a brief overview of our water service area is about 11 square miles, which serves a population of about 45,500 people. I will say that the Glendora, our municipality has 52,000 people living in it. So, you know, that difference of about 6 to 7,000 people are served by Suburban Water, which is a private entity here within the city. We have a total of about 13,400 water meters, primarily residential. About 90% of our customers are residential. We also have some commercial institution as well as government agencies. Our average water demand is 12,000 acre feet a year. However, I do want to emphasize that that has reduced over the course of the past 5 to 7 years. We are averaging about 10,000 or less acre feet a year, and that is a testament to our conservation efforts. And we have two sources of water here within the city. We have groundwater from the main San Gabriel Basin, and we also have imported water, and that is about a 90-10 split. 90% of our water emanates from the groundwater, and 10% is imported water.
Chair, question.
Here, Mike, go ahead.
Thank you. What is Glendora's water right in the main basin as far as the prescriptive right?
Right. So that is based off the operating safe yield. Currently, the operating safe yield is 130,000 acre feet a year. And so Glendora's right is about 4.7% of that, which amounts to about 7,000 acre feet.
Okay, so on the average, I look at the average, Glendora is probably over pumping most years, right?
We are over pumping, and so we do have to pay the replenishment fee once we over pump.
Thank you.
So this graphic shows the main San Gabriel Basin. It spans the width of the entire San Gabriel Valley. We have a total of 8 active wells within this basin, which is depicted by the blue circles there. In the northern easterly part of the basin, we also have a number of decommissioned or inactive wells, as shown by the red circles there. So the star there you see in Baldwin Park, that is known as the Baldwin Park Key Well, and that is actually what is used to measure the elevation of the basin. And so we'll talk about that here in the next couple of slides. This graphic shows the water levels within the basin. As you can see, for the better half of the past decade or so, we've been trending down with the exception of 2020. And so the blue line there, the top line represents the augmented water. That is water imported from Metropolitan, which is injected directly into the basin. Currently, our elevation, that is the water elevation within the basin, is 179 feet, which is just about 10 feet from the historic low, which was 169 feet, which was registered in November 21st, 2018. So, you know, as mentioned, we really have a split of local supply to imported supply. And so with this slide, I wanted to show where that water source comes from, and more importantly, how it's impacted by hydrologic conditions. So during dry years, we're not able to meet all of our water demand utilizing our local water supply. For example, in 2014, we had about a 64% local water, and then we also had about a 36% imported water to be able to meet our complete demand. And that is simply, you know, during the dry seasons, our wells tend to dry up. And so we just don't have the capacity to continue to pump out of the main basin with our current geographical location of our wells. Whereas conversely, in 2017, we were able to meet all of our demands utilizing water from the main San Gabriel Basin. Again, that was an exceedingly wet year for us. And so that is the intent, is to try to utilize our local supply as much as possible for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's much more cost effective to pump water from the main basin as opposed to importing it from Metropolitan Water District. We also experience better water quality and operational benefits as well. And then lastly, in 2021, you can see this was another dry year for us in which we had to augment our supplies with imported water from Metropolitan, about 19%. This shows our annual water production and purchase over the course of the past 12 years or so, dating back to 2012. As mentioned, you can see our total demand is decreasing and has continued to decrease. And Russell will talk a little bit more about that in his report on water conservation. But again, you can see primarily we utilize water from the main basin as shown in the blue bar. And then the red bar is imported water from Metropolitan. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about our existing infrastructure. Within our service area, we have about 210 miles of water service mains, which range from anywhere from 6-inch diameter pipelines to 30-inch transmission mains. We also have 29 storage reservoirs. These are above ground reservoirs with a total storage capacity of over 34 million gallons. We do have a number of booster stations strategically located throughout the city. And as mentioned, we have 8 active wells. One thing I do want to emphasize on this map is if you look, a lot of our infrastructure, as far as our pump stations, our reservoirs are located on the northern part of the city. This is because we do utilize gravity to feed the southern parts of the city, thereby saving on energy as much as possible. So this is primarily a gravity-fed system.
Chisholm, question on the Irwindale project and Vosburg. Haven't done the math, but if you take a look at those 3 wells, 3 and 4 and 7, as I recall, it's something around 6,000 GPM, which could produce about 7,000 acre feet a year for the city.
That is correct. So it's about 6,200 GPM from those 3 wells. And that is more than 50% of our annual demands. So that will, again, bolster our reliance on local supplies.
But you have 3 valleys and Pony Basin involved in that. So they, Pony Basin, they're trying to export out of the basin.
That is correct. So they are.
Didn't we do this project? We studied this like 15 years ago.
Well, there's new people involved now.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was a great project. I don't know what happened to it, so.
Right,
it's back
right.
Again, so.
Yeah, no, and again, we're very excited to kick that back off. We do have these new partners involved, so. Lastly, I just want to say with the Irwindale facility, it's going to benefit us in multiple ways. Number one, again, it's going to allow us to fully take advantage of local supplies and become reliant upon local supplies, which is much more cost effective than imported water from Metropolitan. But more importantly, it really secures our water supply future, especially in light of the recycled water from Metropolitan. We're able to take advantage of that drought-proof water, which will, again, help our water supply sources. And then lastly, those wells will actually get us in the healthier and deeper portion of the basin, which will help us become much more resilient to drought impacts. So with that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Great. Do we have any questions from commissioners?
I had a question. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
These reservoirs in the north of Glendora, are they catching rain runoff from that part of the mountain, basically, or how are they filled with water?
Right, so these are actually covered reservoirs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so covered reservoirs, we actually pump water up to the reservoirs.
Oh,
Right.
from the,
From our pumps, we have a number of spreading grounds up at San Gabriel. So that's where we collect our rainwater, which percolates down into the water basin.
oh, okay. Okay.
And then from there, we pump waters up to the reservoir.
Okay, and then these new wells that are being drilled in the Irwindale area, will they be also populating these reservoirs when they're in action?
Yes, that is the idea, is to be able to, as part of that preliminary study, we want to look at a couple of options, so it's going to, the first component is installing a treatment facility. And then the second component is designing and installing a series of conveyance pipelines to be able to fill our reservoirs here.
Okay, thank you.
But they are existing wells, but more than likely they're going to have to be re-drilled because they're so old.
They are existing wells. They were decommissioned in the early 90s, so over 3 decades now. So we will have to re-drill them, most likely.
The other nice thing about the Irwindale project in comparison to the St. Gabriel is the St. Gabriel comes into the north part of the city and the Irwindale can come in from the south side of the city. So you really sort of surround the city with adequate water supply.
That is correct.
Pat, you got a question?
I did, I don't know if you can go back to that bar chart you showed of the last several years of usage. Seems like an interesting, pattern after 2014 where it dropped off significantly, total usage, and then, increased, came down in 2019 and then back up again.
Right.
Is there any correlation between, that and some other factor? Why it would be kind of such sporadic changes over the years?
Certainly. If you recall, 2014, 2015 was the first time then Governor Brown issued the emergency, which is a 20% statewide. And that played a huge role in our water demands here within the city. You know, we were able to implement that water shortage plan. And so we started to see our demands taper off. They did start to pick back up in 2018, 2019, when we started to get the wet seasons. And so what we try to educate and instill in our residents is that, you know, water conservation and water use efficiency is a way of life, and, you know, not just depending on hydrologic conditions. But if we can sustain our water conservation efforts, rain or shine, that is the way to secure our water supply.
Thank you.
Just one question, Mr. Chair. You have four MWD connections. Are
Yes.
they all with Three Valleys?
No, so we have three connections with Three Valleys, and we have one with CIC, Covina Irrigation Company.
Covina, that's a MWD connection?
Well, it's the connection from the San Gabriel pipeline in Sierra
Oh,
Madre
yeah. got
that
it.
ties
Yeah.
into the CIC plant.
Remember
But
that.
it's Three Valleys water.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three Valleys Water.
Yeah.
And then you've also got a connection up at Big Dalton, right? Or up there, that's a,
Oh, well, that is the PM 26.
yeah, that's a Three Valleys.
That is at Three Valleys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a raw water spreading connection. Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. Yeah.
Justin, you got any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
We'll move on to item number 2.
I believe it's a
Special.
motion to receive and file.
Right. So today's staff recommendation is to receive and file this report.
Okay, do you have a motion to receive?
Motion to receive,
To receive and file, I'm sorry.
receive and file.
Okay, so
Motion-
we're gonna do the voting real quick. I'm gonna show you on the monitors. I should probably. You'll have to-
You gotta go back to this, probably have to go back to display.
Did it switch on you guys? See a button? No? So it looks like it's not working still. Okay, so we have a motion by Holmes and the second. Okay. Did it switch on you guys, the monitor? Okay, so now you guys see the vote? Okay, so go ahead and vote real quick, and then I will conduct an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Cece? Make sure you guys are on your mics.
Aye.
Perfect, thank you. Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Vice Chair Nakano,
Yes.
and Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. So now we're back onto item number 2. Forget your mic. Your mic.
Date on well 12 rehabilitation. I'm going to call upon Water Production Supervisor Ron Nitschke to give us an update.
Commissioners, this is a brief update on well 12, one of our 8 active wells. This well currently is out of service. I'll give you a brief history on the well and then the current status of that well. Originally, the well was drilled in 1966 to a depth of 250 feet. It has a 24-inch casing and a 12-inch column pipe. This well is the highest producing well that we have in the city, though it had been mentioned that due to water levels, this past summer, that well production dropped down to 900 gallons per minute instead of 3,000. So it definitely is influenced by the water table. On October 12th, the well was pulled due to mechanical issues. And we subsequently had a video log, and it determined that there was some scaling and biofilm on the casing, so we did have that well scrubbed. And currently, we're waiting for the materials to get put together to get the well reinstated. And once that happens, we'll flush the well and take back tees and put the well back in service. The total estimated cost for parts and labor for this well is $150,000. That's my presentation. And are there any questions?
Great. Are there any questions?
Yeah, where's it located?
It's located out at the San Gabriel plant out in Azusa
Is that up in the
on
canyon?
site. Yeah,
course,
golf course.
okay.
Yeah, it is one of 3 wells that are on site.
And that, the water level should come up if they're spreading water up there, right? It should follow that. there's-
Yes,
okay.
yeah. Currently, we are receiving some water that's coming from the dams. So we are seeing an increase. Current pumping level is about 95 feet dynamic. So when the well was down to the 900 GPM capacity, we were down closer to about 125 feet, 130 feet pumping. So we have historically have had to shut that well off at one point due to low production.
Was that well drilled down to bedrock?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
so when Azusa pumps, they can suck you dry.
well, we're not influenced directly by their pumping. But yeah, we're all,
It's more
They're-
just about the water level in
it's
the basin.
all more about the water level in the basin, correct?
What's traditionally the static water level for that? Is it?
Well, currently at this time of year, we'd like to see probably about a 45 to maybe 60 feet.
Wow, well, I've never had a well. It's
So
amazing. That's
it's,
great.
it's been as high as about 32 feet static,
Wow.
but that was definitely in times of.
You've never had a well that pump more than 100 gallons a minute.
Well, at different place, I had like 600 feet hit water, that's pretty good. And the electricity's a lot cheaper too to pull it up. So that's good.
Yeah.
But you're severely impacted. There's no water in that canyon, you're done. So.
It
Is that
definitely
well
does
under
impact.
the influence of water that's spread by the natural, the outflow from like Morris, USG3, or when they let water out, the Corps of Engineers or the county?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Question.
Pat, go ahead.
You mentioned about the volume pumped went
Mhm.
down significantly. Maybe an elementary question. Was it the deeper you go, the slower the output is going to be, or what was the factor for that decrease by 2/3 in your volume pumped?
Just a decrease in the water table out at that San Gabriel pumping plant.
Quantity water, not the depth per se, but wow.
The total depth of the well is 250 feet, and I believe. Yes, the top of the bowls, so where the pumping bowls are is 170 feet. So when we get down to 130 feet, there's not a lot of cover of water over those bowls, and it will pull air and it doesn't break suction, but that's why when it gets to 900, well, actually closer to about 775 is when we'll shut the well off. Because we do get cavitation and just too much air.
Okay, thank you.
When were you hoping to get it back online?
Should come back in line in February.
Okay, great. Before the summer.
Oh, definitely,
Yeah, good.
definitely. And that will definitely improve our pumping capacities.
You don't have to buy any of that expensive water from Three Valleys.
No, and hopefully we'll keep getting more rain and we'll enjoy more of our own water instead of importing water. You're welcome.
No action on that, just a special item. So the next item is the consent calendar. This is the what do we have here? The minutes from July 28th. This item on the consent calendar will be acted by one motion unless commissioners would like to request discussion on any item. Does anybody wish to discuss item number 3? No? Okay, could I have a motion to adopt and receive and file?
Just to be sure, these minutes were included in the agenda packet, right?
Correct, yes. So do we have a motion?
Yes.
Yes, but without having you guys affirm them, we can't get them approved. So as long as you guys read them and,
From the agenda
okay,
packet.
then you guys are okay to approve. I did check with the city clerk, so.
Right.
Okay, so you'll.
Second,
Perfect. So a motion made by Commissioner Cece, seconded by Commissioner Holmes. I will now conduct an oral roll call vote. So here we go. Commissioner Holmes,
aye.
Commissioner Cece, Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nakano,
Yes.
and Chair Hansen.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, now we'll with item 4, we dealt with water supply outlook. We'll invite Water Division Manager Dale Wirt to give us an update.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having us here today. I'm going to cover the water supply outlook. Currently, City of Glendora has received 9.6 inches of rain water as of January 9th, 2023. The annual average rainfall is 24 inches for the City of Glendora. These rain measurements are taken at the city water yard, which is up off of Lorraine and Sierra Madre Avenue. Our imported water deliveries between October and December of 2022, the Upper District through the month of October delivered about 14,708 acre feet through USG 3. From this total amount delivered, there was over a delivery of 13 acre feet, which will go to MWD's cyclic storage account. And Upper District did not make any deliveries through USG 3 during November and December of 2022. Three Valleys District during October of 2022, San Gabriel District delivered 257 acre feet to the San Gabriel Canyon. During November of 2022, San Gabriel District delivered about 600 acre feet to the San Gabriel Canyon during December of 2022. And let's see. Next slide. I apologize, that copied twice. So it's going to be the same information. And we'll have Three Valleys. I don't believe Three Valleys made any deliveries during that time. Let's see. So there's some pictures. This is a San Gabriel Reservoir. Picture on my left, your right, is from 9/14/2022. Shows a reservoir relatively low. In the background, you can see they're doing some work around the intake gates, as well as clearing some of that silt and debris from the bottom. January 3rd, of course, after some rains we have, it's quite full. You can still see the peaks of the islands out there. They picked up and finished their work there in late October. Next is a Morris Reservoir. Not too much difference you can see between 9/14/2022 and January 3rd, 2023. They've been keeping that pretty much full while they were doing work upstream in San Gabriel Reservoir. That's USG 3 connection. You can see 9/14/22, it's a little bit drier. January 3rd, 2023, a little bit wetter. The connection is a little hard to see. It's a pipe that kind of sticks out of the roadway in between that divot. Let's see. All right, key well information. Chisholm did give an update on this. This is a little older. As of January 6th, when this report was done, 2023, the Baldwin Park Key Well groundwater elevation was 178.9 feet, an increase of 1.1 feet over a 3-month period. On November 21st, 2018, the Baldwin Park Key Well groundwater elevation low water record was set. It measured at 169.4 feet. We're not too far from that. Our water production and treated water purchases between July and September of 2022. Well production through October, we produced 649 acre feet. November, 624 acre feet, and December was 573.62 acre feet. We purchased from Metropolitan Water during those same months. October was 168.8 acre feet, and November was 9.28 acre feet. We didn't purchase any Met water during the month of December. Some updates, these were as of December on a California, Colorado projects, rain and snowpack information, which some of this has drastically changed. But as of December 2022, the Northern Sierra snowpack was 150% of normal. The Upper Colorado Basin, River Basin snowpack was 106% of normal. The storage for this time of year in California due to heavy precipitation was close to normal for this time of year. Storage in the Colorado system also due to the extreme drought conditions was only at 23% of normal for this time. And the California state water supply allocation had been set at 5%.
May I ask, what does that mean exactly, 5%?
The water that comes off the California and aqueduct, and the state will issue a percentage of whatever our rights to that water will be. Recently it was set as low as 0. So now they've raised it due to the rain. So we'll be able to take a 5% portion of what's rightfully ours. Most of that will have to do with our imported water deliveries, which we've received 2 ways. One, we'll take raw water deliveries up in the canyon, which go into the percolation and basins along the river and slightly downstream, right about the 210 and 605 freeway. The other way will be as our purveyors that we take from Three Valleys Metropolitan Water District are able to source some of that water, treat it and deliver it to us through our connections.
Just some good news. The DWR increased allocation today to 30%.
I know.
So,
Say the
it's-
information's a little outdated, but.
no, it's fine. It's just
it
a couple
shows
hours ago.
through.
I heard that on the news, so it's good news.
Maurice,
So-
go ahead, sir.
So that 5%, what does that equate to as far as acre feet per year allocated?
For us? Yeah, he can answer that.
Or I'm not sure if that's a proper way to ask the question, but
Oh, it is, Commissioner. And so, as Dale mentioned, the state water project consists of a total of 29 contractors. These are water agencies that request a certain amount from the state. Metropolitan is the largest contractor. And so they generally require about 1.27 million acre feet from the state water project. However, that is largely dependent on hydrologic conditions, right? And so when Dale says 5%, that means 5% of that 1.27 million acre feet. So that's really what that means. So whatever that 5% equates to of that 1.27 million is what it is.
That
30%.
was about 100,000 acre feet, but now that it's been
Up to 30.
increased to 30%.
30%.
That'll be more like 300,000 acre feet. So
Exactly.
tremendous.
and that 5% is for the city of Glendora?
No, no,
or
so
for the
that
water agencies?
that 5% is for Metropolitan to distribute to 26 of its member agencies, depending on their contracts. And so, right.
Right, okay. Of the 26 or 28 agencies that you said, contractors total, you said MWD gets 5% of that to then distribute out to.
To its 26 of its member agencies, which one of them is Three Valleys Municipal Water District. Okay,
Which is
and then-
about 3% of the Metropolitan Water District. So it gets complicated, but just follow the math and you can see 3% of 300,000 might be 9,000 acre feet that
Right.
Three Valleys would get to give to its 13 agencies, Glendora being one of them.
Okay, thank you.
So world of hurt.
Yeah, I'm doing the math.
May I ask another
Sure.
quick dumb question, because I'm trying to catch up here.
As you've heard before, there are no such thing as dumb questions.
That's true.
The curve that we showed of Key Well water height, if that curve fell between the two horizontal lines where you want to keep it, would we need to import any water at all from any
Well,
of these sources?
Well, if it fell between those two lines, yes, because our imported is criteria is not contingent upon how much water is, in the basin. We import water simply because we don't have the ability to pump water out of the basin due to the location of our wells. within the
Oh, I
basin.
see.
And so, the way I like to explain it is the basin is sort of in the shape of a funnel. And our wells are located at the very tip of the funnel. And so our straws, our wells, they're very sensitive to drought. And so even if we have more water in the basin, the location of our wells are still at the tip. So we're still going to be impacted, right? And so, and that's, again, that's why these, bringing our sources down to Irwindale, recommissioning these wells is critically important for our water supply. That way we can be in the deeper part of the basin.
Or do our wells go all the way to the bottom of the reservoir? These ones at the edge of the bowls?
They do go down to bedrock, yes.
Okay.
So geographically, what you just explained, would it stand to reason that other geographic areas, cities at the bottom of the funnel are in a better position with water within their
They're not,
than Glendora? and
they're
surroundings?
they're not as easily impacted by the drought.
Okay, right.
Right.
No worries. The next couple of slides, you guys received also just some information on some of the reporting, both on the State Water Project and the Colorado River Resources. These are also important because it gives us kind of a broader look out into the northern part of the state as well as into Colorado to see how we are going to be impacted later in the future by water resources. That's another one on snowpack and water resources. Well, that is the end. There are no more questions.
Any questions from commissioners?
Thank you very much.
Justin, do you have any questions?
No, just a comment. The allocation going up to 30% is good, but it's certainly not great overall in the long run. So yeah, I think does going up to 30% affect any sort of like the mandatory conservation measures that are going on in the area?
No, not for Glendora. So our water shortage contingency plan, stage 3, is still in effect.
Thanks.
Dale, I appreciate the report and the input, and I appreciate the time in which you have to get it in. But I think I read somewhere in the packet where the rainfall at Big Dalton Dam was like 18 inches already. So big difference between 9 inches
Oh, yeah.
and
It's a little tough, like you said, because we're trying to get it in here before you guys.
right.
So I've been working with Chisholm and some other of my staff to try to get some of it delayed or updated when we can. So we'll
Right.
try to do work better at getting those
Right.
numbers for you.
Well, either that or just make an oral, have the written document in the packet, but when you make a presentation, just, note that it's going to be updated, that instead of 9 inches is like 18 inches or something like that. I think I read that in the packet somewhere, didn't I?
That is correct. And that is something we'll definitely make it a point to identify once we're actually speaking and making a presentation, is to identify the current conditions.
Yeah, I think since we only meet like 4 times a year, that if we had the most current information when we do meet, it'd be pretty helpful. So,
Yes, sir. No problem.
okay,
Take care.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, with that, motion to receive and file.
Motion.
Motion by Pat, second. David?
Oh, so does show, you saw the buttons? All right, so now we have a motion by Commissioner Cece and then seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Should be able to have the vote in front of you. Oops, back. Did it backwards here. So here we go. Commissioner Holmes? Commissioner Cece?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nakano?
Yes.
And then Chair Hansen.
Yes.
So the motion carries.
You no longer have the thing on the side of the screen for voting?
No,
Yeah, okay.
it's been acting up, so I'm so sorry.
Okay, all right. Okay, next item is on the agenda is the Water Conservation Program update, and Russell Ackerman is going to give us an update. Russell?
Good evening, Chair Hansen, Commissioners. I'm Russell Ackerman. I'm the Senior Management Analyst in charge of the Water Conservation Unit here for the City of Glendora Water Division. Today, I'm going to give you a conservation program update. What we've been up to in the last quarter. Last quarter, we did water efficient device rebates, 8 toilets, 4 irrigation controllers, 11 clothes washers, 18 dishwashers, 2 rain barrels, and one pool cover. The number of applications that we received in comparison to last year has gone up, and so has the amount that we have rebated. The surveys, we do water use efficiency surveys to help residents and commercial businesses find out how they can use water more efficiently or identify leaks and whatnot. That actually has gone down in December, we think in part because of the weather. A lot of that survey is conducted outside, but we are hoping those numbers will go up, and I'll explain why later. The number of water waste violations that we've issued has gone down slightly, but the community has really responded to the conservation messaging. So I think that in part supports that. The number of applications for our turf removal program have gone up dramatically. We have just in the last quarter, we had 44 projects completed, over 64,000 square feet of turf removed, and $100,000, over $100,000 in rebate money. These pictures just give you a sense of our turf removal program. You'll see in this particular picture, you know, we do qualified dead grass as long as you've had grass and you have sprinklers. You know, we understand you're complying with our stage 3 water restrictions, and if you want to transform your yard into a water efficient landscape, then we will certainly help you. Here's an example of, you know, if you want to keep a little turf for the kids or the dogs, you know, you can still reduce the amount of water that you're using and keep some functionality within your backyard. Of course, we are always maintaining our social media presence, continually outreaching to the community about, you know, in this slide, water professionals, how the city has prioritized watering trees during the drought instead of grass, and then just simple reminders that, you know, don't turn the sprinklers on in the rain, that type of thing. These are the numbers of our water usage compared 2022 to 2021. Overall, there's an 8.16% reduction. But if we look at 2020 to 2022, we have an 11% reduction. And what I'd like to point out here is in the last 4 months, we've actually met our 20% reduction goal and exceeded that. And I'd also like to point out, that's not on the slide, but the city facilities and parks overall in 2022 have reduced their water usage by 37% over the year compared to 2020. So they've done a fantastic job.
Does that include the school districts at all? I mean, are the schools involved in this?
No, that's just simply city facilities and our park system, not the public agency school systems.
Yeah. Are you continuing a presence with the school board on water conservation and helping them out wherever you can?
We've actually have an outreach to them right now. We're promoting our poster and slogan contest in March, which is something we do annually. And then we actually go out and give presentations to fifth grade classes. So we're actually in the process right now of setting those up. And we're certainly looking forward to getting more participation. On the other side, we are going to reach out and begin doing water use efficiency surveys on public agency schools and even private, institutional schools. So that outreach is about to happen. I'll explain that in the next slide, but that will help identify areas within the school district that we can find water savings, and then we can begin to figure out how are we going to provide the assistance to make those transformations.
Does Caltrans use any?
No, they do not.
Ask a quick question.
Sure.
How did we arrive at the 20% number in the first place? Does that come from the state?
That's
Is it-
from the state.
Okay.
Yes. Our next upcoming event, so we do outreach events, National Night Out, you'll see a water conservation booth. And the next one coming up is Earth Day. So we are a very popular booth. So if you want to come see us, get in line early. And then finally, I'd like to discuss some of our interagency collaborations. We are currently working on a demonstration garden that would be reimbursed through the Metropolitan Water District Public Agency turf removal program. We're still in the design phase, but hopefully we'll either be applying soon or we'll wait till after the heat and apply this fall. Three Valleys Municipal Water District, there's a turf dashboard that has been developed and has been shared throughout the metropolitan agencies, and the turf dashboard is basically like a GIS dashboard that will help us identify turf areas, particularly the non-functional turf areas since July of last year. Turf grass that's considered non-functional, meaning ornamental grasses with no recreational purposes. It's actually been banned to irrigate that with potable water for commercial, institutional, and industrial properties. And so the non-functional turf grass is something that we are looking to help fund in our turf removal programs for commercial for the CII properties that haven't been watering it for a year. That ban goes until June. And it may be extended, but we don't know yet. That's a State Water Resources Board regulation. We're also waiting from Three Valleys to hear if they're going to have some sort of direct install turf removal program that maybe assist us in that NFT program, that non-functional turf program. So we're still waiting to see what Three Valleys is going to unfold there. Just recently, we entered into a partnership with the SoCal Gas company. SoCal Gas has had programs where they basically go in and retrofit hot water fixture devices in your house, like your shower or faucet, because by saving the hot water, you save the gas that heats the water, and so saving water saves energy. And we've created a unique partnership with them where we've included cold water fixtures like high efficiency toilets and also irrigation smart controllers. And so we have a direct install program partnership with them where they will come in and for residential properties, they'll come in and install new toilet, new shower heads and new irrigation controllers if you qualify. But that's a new partnership that we are hoping to launch either in mid-February or by March 1st.
Question?
Sure.
If you qualify, I assume financially, is it income based or?
No, it's
or-
not income based. SoCal Gas does have, they have different programs for different sectors. But what I meant by that was if you already have a 1.1 toilet, a 1 gallon per flow, if you already have a low flow toilet, you know, you're not going to qualify. If you've already purchased maybe a rebate, a smart controller from us, then you're not. So there are certain things that, but if you haven't, then, this is a direct install program, which is a real nice added benefit for
It- and-
residents.
And for somebody that does qualify, is there a cost or SoCal Gas?
No, this
takes care
is,
of that?
this is part of the partnership. There is no cost for that.
What kind of messaging? I think I got an email. I think it was an email from SoCal Gas about this. I remember reading it somewhere prior to this. What kind of messaging is going to be done once the program is actually launched, and will it be by the city or by SoCal Gas or both, or what's that? What do you think that's going to look like?
Right, so part of the agreement with them is we are doing co-marketing. What we are actually waiting for is their third-party vendor, Global Energy Services. They actually have to finish executing the contract with them. And we do the marketing with them, with that particular vendor who's actually going to show up at your residence and do the direct install. So we're working with them. If we send up, maybe we'll send a direct flyer to everyone. There's a cost associated with that. We've talked about doing bill inserts in your water bill, which I think we will be doing. But there are certain marketing parameters that SoCal Gas has, so we have to sort of square all that away before we decide what venue or what avenue we're going to use to market it. But you will certainly be hearing about it either in your water bill or a direct flyer to your home.
How does a direct install turf removal program work?
Well, that's a challenging type of program to run, because it basically means that you would be hiring a vendor, a landscape vendor, to come in, tear out your grass and replant with water efficient, drought tolerant landscaping and water efficient irrigation like drip irrigation. So this is why it's proposed, and I don't have details on how that's going to run. But essentially, just like the direct install for toilets, somebody comes in, tears out your, it's kind of the same idea. But we're waiting to see how Three Valleys, how they decide to roll that program out. So.
And so once you had your turf removal plan approved as being okay, someone would come in and just do it under this program if it's approved. Is that the idea?
That's a possibility.
Oh,
I don't, because I don't have details. I can't really confirm how that would run.
okay.
But in theory, yes, you would have, like for our turf removal program, you submit a basic plan, and then if we approve that, then we come and we do an on-site inspection and verify that you did put in the plants you said you were going to put in, et cetera. But so hopefully by the next time we meet, I'll have more information for you. And finally, our WaterWise Consulting Inc., actually a local Glendora company, we've signed a contract with them to do water efficient audits and surveys, which are free and available to all properties in city of Glendora, for City of Glendora water customers. And this is what I was talking about earlier about this is how we hope that we're going to begin seeing more surveys done. We're going to begin reaching out to the higher water users, offering them free surveys. And we're also developing other programs with WaterWise. For example, we're in the process of developing an outdoor leak repair program for residents. So, they come to your house, they've identified potential leaks or actual leaks going on. And then we will utilize their services to actually help you fix some of these leaks so that when we actually when they actually leave the property, we have realized water savings. Another program that we're rolling out with them is the Smart Controller program. So we're going to do another direct install smart controller program with them. So again, if you've taken the survey and the survey audit shows that you have an older controller, then you may qualify to get a new smart irrigation controller directly installed at no cost. So these are the types of programs that we're rolling out. We're beginning the surveys on February 1st. We're hoping to have the leak program by March 1st, which is, fix a leak week in the end of March. And then by April, have the smart irrigation controller program in place.
Russell, the leak program, is it aided by the automatic meters? Is that how you determine that there is a leak at that residence?
Yes, we use the AMI data. In fact, if you participate in a survey with WaterWise, we'll be asking you if you're okay with sharing that data with them, because that's part of how you do a survey is you look at the meter data. And if you see, for example, water usage in the middle of the night, or, you can begin to think, well, that's probably irrigation, and it helps you sort of track down where either water inefficiencies are being, displayed or potential leaks. So the AMI data is great. And we have a smart meter program too that you can sign up for and get alerts about a leak. So we'll be promoting all of that through the survey system as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a tremendous program, because when you take a look at the age of the community of Glendora, a lot of homes, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, they probably have leaks and they don't even know it.
Exactly.
So, and I may be interpreting this wrong and going with what you said. I agree. So outdoor leak repair program.
Correct.
What does the outdoor part mean? Because I read that to mean outdoor, meaning your outdoor irrigation, but obviously there's irrigation inside the house. So am I misinterpreting that?
It's simply for your irrigation system outside of the house. So if we identify leaks inside the house, that would not be a part of the program. And this would also be simple leaks, like if there's a broken head,
Right.
it's got to be something that is simple and fixable for cost reasons. But
Right.
a lot of the times when we do these surveys, they are relatively simple fixes, but it might take you weeks to call the garden, et cetera. And what we're trying to do is offer a program where we can get that leak immediately fixed. And generally that's where we see the most savings in leak repair programs.
On the exterior. So by doing by using your water meter as your detection device, I guess, if you will, wouldn't it catch any leak regardless where it's at? Just generally speaking, wouldn't it catch any leak? If you have a leak in the wall, wouldn't it denote that by the water meter running, but not the water running? Does that make
Right.
sense?
Right.
It would still catch that, right?
Right.
So is part of the program or could part of the program be the identification of leaks so the homeowner is aware of it? I mean, is that part of the program?
That
To say,
is-
hey,
That is
you have a
correct.
leak somewhere, we can't handle that, but you might want to get that fixed. Is that part of it?
Right. So the survey, they'll come inside your house if you allow them.
Okay.
And they will go around. A lot of the times it's actually the toilet it's a leaky flapper
Okay.
in the toilet, like 90% of the time. But there may be random ones where they can't find it. It is something in the wall.
Right.
But we would then refer back to that meter data and say, well, the meter is still running. We've turned everything off. So, and we've looked at all your devices. So you're right. Yes, that could certainly be a possibility that there is something that's not visibly apparent.
At least so the homeowner is aware.
Exactly.
So that is part of the program or?
That is, yes, that's
Okay.
that's part of
Yeah.
any water use efficiency survey. Yep.
All right, very good. Thank you.
And that concludes my presentation.
Great. Questions?
I do have a question. So as far as the messaging of conservation, is that falling under you? You were talking about the marketing and so forth. Is that falling under you?
Yes.
What do you find to be, or do you have the data or what you will on the best source of getting that message out to residents? Do you know, or do you have an idea what the best way of getting that messaging out to them is?
Direct flyers are very effective.
Sure.
It really, sending it straight to the home, we like to do that. It's expensive to do that. The bill inserts are a little less expensive, but that's also a very effective way. So yeah, directly sending something with information on it tends to be the best way. We do social media, Facebook, we do all of that as well, but I think that we've been most successful with that sort of outreach.
And so the reason I asked this is this actually came up when I was interviewing with the city council, and they were saying that there's signs around the city, and apparently there was a sign somewhere on Gladstone, somewhere by where I live. I live off Gladstone. And I said, I never saw the sign. I'm pretty observant. And one of the council members at the very end said, oh, the sign was there, but then it got moved. And then that was the end of the discussion, which is fine. But my thought was, why did the sign get moved? Just, do we have it in our budget to buy another sign, to put that sign wherever it went to, so we can leave the sign there? Because if you have, you have a message up somewhere, it'll get old after a while, right? So people will start not paying attention to it, which means you should change it out, not leave it there all the time. But that should be happening all around the city. And so that was kind of one thought I thought of. As far as the social media, I didn't think that it would be that effective. I did go through our Facebook and our Twitter accounts, and there's only been, unless I missed it, one post on each of them. I'm guessing they're probably mirror of each other. Probably only one post over the last 2 months having anything to do with water conservation. Lots of posts. I realize the city has lots of things to post about, right? Safety and other issues and road closures, with all the, for the train construction. But if conservation is a big thing, social media hasn't been used too much. And I don't mean to demean any of the efforts to do that, but one post in 2 months, or probably, I think it's more than 2 months, probably doesn't help, right? Although if social media is not very effective, then, because I think on Twitter, there's only like 4,000 followers on the Twitter account, right? So that being said, for anybody who does follow the city, and I do follow the city on the social media, more active posts on that could be helpful, I would think. I used to handle marketing for my previous company, and I would keep what I called an editorial calendar of all of our social media, and I would have it planned out. And I don't know if you and your staff do that, but I would have it planned out to make sure there was a strategy every week. I knew every week for usually 2 months out what I was going to post, so that I captured everything I needed to post about our company and products and people and this and that, whatever else, so that it wasn't redundant, but it was also captured. Don't know if you're doing that. It worked great for me, so I was always on target with what I was posting. So that's the social media aspect. As far as other messaging, again, I think signs around the city could be helpful, I would imagine. And as far as the flyers, yeah, I totally agree that that's probably the most effective, I would think. Everybody opens their bill, and if that's less expensive that way than a special one, right? Because you got to pay for all the postage. I think that probably could be the most effective too. But these other avenues, it doesn't hurt, right? It may not be very effective, but it wouldn't hurt. So I would just make the recommendation that social media, when possible, probably maybe step it up a little bit. Messaging around the city would be helpful, I would imagine, but I think that should be strategic too. Again, right? You don't want to leave a sign up for a year because it's going to get old. People will stop paying attention to it. So there would have to be a strategy to change it out to the same message, but in a different way, right? Different graphics, whatever it may be. And of course, I say all this with budget allowing for it. So that's all.
Yeah, and Commissioner, if I may just chime in on that. Again, certainly appreciate your comment, and these are very, very valuable inputs. Just to kind of chime in on the sign, when the shortage plan, stage 3 shortage plan initially went out in June of last year, the idea and the strategy behind those signboards, which is what I assume you're referring to, was to rent them and have them in place for the first 3 months. And sort of see what type of reaction we get from the community, see what type of response we get. And so Certainly agree that we can go back and take a look at that, especially if we're looking to make conservation so it's part of life, right? A lifestyle. We can definitely look at how we can implement that throughout the city. And what we did was we had, we had about 5 slogans that we came up with, and we would alternate those slogans in the signs. That way, folks are not getting hit with the same sign for months at a time. So, and then to your second comment regarding social media, we'll certainly look to work with our media team here to see how we can better strategize what we post, when we post it, and what frequency we post it. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, as far as the change in the messaging, what I used to refer to it in my former position as reader apathy. If it's too long, too lengthy, if it's not strategically written out, bullet points, whatever it may be, reader apathy, they're just gonna let it go, right? Or if it's the same message over or the same image, which not that you're doing that, but if it was reader apathy, they're just gonna bypass it, right? As far as the signage, I don't know what the signage was because I never saw the signage. And so, social media, you can gauge who's seen it, right? Based on your impressions and so forth on your social media account. Flyers are a little bit harder. You just assume somebody's going to look at it when they open their bill. And signage around the city, there's I don't think any way at all to gauge the effectiveness of that, right? It's just, if budget allows for it, and there's a plan to do a way to do that, it's one of those things that the extra exposure to it could be helpful rather than not having it. And so, yeah. Great. Thank you.
One of my favorite water conservation things was a pricing signal. Raise the price of water and people get the message. So I'm sure that's implemented in here somewhere with water rates for Glendora. So.
Get that. David, you have any questions? No. Justin?
I was just really happy to hear that we're doing some outreach back at the schools and that slogan program is coming back. That was always kind of delightful to have the winners come into this commission meeting and all that. And so thank you for bringing that back. I know it's something that kind of went away during those pandemic years. So definitely happy to hear that.
So I assume it's school children are given the opportunity to come up with a slogan and a poster image or something.
Correct.
Is that going to be used at some point?
Right,
Or
right.
what-
Then
what's the end
we
result?
we will actually come back here to the commission, and you'll be a part of presenting the awards.
Right, okay. That's good. I think, yeah, hitting them, not hitting them. Educating them, using the message to hit home at the schools, right? Like that's what I meant to say. Yeah, it could be effective. That's something I always did with, my daughter, turn that off when you're brushing your teeth and this and that, and so that's good. I'm glad we're doing something like that. So.
Okay, great. Thanks for report, Russell.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You have a motion?
Motion. Well,
Motion by Pat, second.
I'll second.
Mike, second.
Okay, so see if I can get the, so we have a motion by Commissioner Cece, seconded by Commissioner Holmes. I will now conduct an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Cece?
yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Hey.
Vice Chair Nakano?
Yes.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, moving on to item 7, proposed increase in the contract amount for emergency on-call services for fiscal year 22-23 by a total amount not to exceed $225,000. Water distribution supervisor Jason Forsberg is going to make a presentation.
Can I ask a really quick question, just to be sure? Fiscal year, July to June?
July 1 to June 30th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, Justin, and Commissioners. Appreciate you guys having me tonight. I'll be providing the update on the emergency on-call services. Again, I am Jason Forsberg, Water Distribution Supervisor here with the City of Glendora. So just a quick little background. So in July of 2019, the city passed the original contract for our emergency on-call contractors with a duration of 1 year to be extended an additional 5 years. Our emergency contractors are listed as T.E. Roberts, J. DeCigio Construction, and Big Ben Engineering. Originally, the contract was capped at $125 per contractor per year. We are requesting an additional $75,000 for each contractor, totaling $225,000 per fiscal year due to an increase in demand of emergency services within the city. So our emergency on-call services, the objective of the proposed budget increase is to provide the water division to get additional support during peak periods when routine water repairs are needed and when emergency repairs may overwhelm our existing staff. This work includes water main service and leak repairs, fire hydrant repairs, valve replacements, pavement repairs, concrete repair. And then also too, in case of severe natural disasters, our emergency contractors are called upon to help us out during those times. So just an overview of some of the water leaks. So within this past fiscal year, we've had a spike on larger diameter pipes ranging from 16-inch to 20-inch. That has required, unfortunately, extensive repairs and replacements of those pipes themselves.
What the pipe material? What kind of pipe material is that?
Most of them are all steel.
Steel?
Yes, most of them are from the 50s to mid 60s. So just last fiscal year, 21-22, we had a total of 221 water line leaks. This fiscal year, we are estimating just on from July through December, we're estimating about 223 leaks just on the forecast that we've had from July through December so far.
And that's all leaks. That's mains, laterals.
Correct. So that'll include mains, laterals, services, fire hydrants. This does not include meter leaks though, which would be a separate category.
Thank you.
Is there a particular reason for the leaks other than age, or is that a main factor, or is there?
Yeah, the main factor right now is just age and the infrastructure itself.
Thank you.
So this first picture right here, this is from August 2nd of last year. This is right here on Gladstone. We had a 20-inch mainline leak. And this is part of the process of repairing that leak, which included installing a line stop to help isolate the leak to make repairs. This is part of the same project on Gladstone. From installing that, from the first photo, that line stop, we were able to install a new 20-inch butterfly valve to help isolate our 20-inch line there in Gladstone for any future leaks that appear in that area. So it'll be easier to isolate and make the repairs safely.
That's a standard procedure. If you've got a line between valves, you'll cut one end to better isolate leaks. in the
Correct,
future.
yes. And those, I'll go back. So that specific project right there on Gladstone was performed by our emergency contractor, T.U. Roberts. Let's see. So this next leak, we have the photo on the left. So this is at our Booster 31 station right at Glendora Mountain Road in Dalton. We had a 16-inch mainline leak there, which is connected to an 8-inch line right there at our booster. For that one, we had our contractor, Big Ben Engineering, come out to help us with that. And you can see the photo on the right is the repair that was made from an 8-inch transition into a 16-inch. This was another major leak, another one on Gladstone, probably within a couple 100 feet of the first leak. This one was on a different line though. It was on a 16-inch line. This photo here just depicts just a temporary repair that was made. Ultimately, from this leak, our contractor, JDC, They had to ultimately install about 80 new feet of water line to make the actual repair itself. So here's the budget overview. So a few of these numbers have changed most recently. So JDC right now, expense to date has changed. We are still waiting for an invoice from that invoice is approximately another $70,000. So we're going to be just about over 80% of the allocated $125,000 already spent for them. Big Ben, let's see, we've already used over 84% of the 125,000. And then for TE Roberts, we are above 94% already. And then, of course, stated earlier, we are requesting additional $75,000 for each of those emergency contractors. That concludes my presentation here. And our recommendation will be to the city council to increase the contract amount for our emergency on-call services for fiscal year 22-23 in a total amount of $225,000.
Great, thanks, Jason. Any questions from the commissioners? David?
How will the extra cost be covered by the city?
Yes, so we have a mid-year process. So we have a biannual. Every 2 years, we come up with our budget. But every year we have a mid-year request in which we evaluate our existing budget, identify costs that we need to allocate, such as for emergency repairs and other things. So that's what we did, is we requested this allocation through our mid-year request process.
Oh, all right. So it's already in the planning.
It's already in the plans, correct?
Does it come out of reserves or fund balance or
It comes out of water funds.
not reserves, just out of your accumulated funds or?
Yes.
So the first contractor, you said, since this was prepared probably a month or so ago, there's an additional $70,000 billed.
Yes.
Seems like a large number compared to all the other numbers. Generally speaking, for that short of a period of time, is there a particular reason why that much?
So that invoice was on one of the projects that was listed on here. That was from one of the Gladstone projects. And for whatever reason, we're still waiting on their invoicing.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
Correct,
so it's
yes.
from
Correct, yes.
previously, gotcha.
And Pat, the reason why that invoice is significantly large is because we had to, as Mike mentioned, oftentimes if we don't have valves within a certain pipe length, we do have to install those valves. And in order to do that, we had to install a line stop, which was a very complex process, and we chose to go that route as opposed to putting hundreds of homeowners out of water for an extended period of time. I will say, as part of our ongoing infrastructure assessment, one of the things that we are looking to undertake is a comprehensive valve assessment. Looking at our old valves, what do we need to do to rehabilitate those valves, strategically install new valves. That way, whenever we have repairs, we're not taking, a number of homeowners out of water, but we can simply isolate, maybe 2 or 3 homeowners and repair the leaks.
And so a more expensive yet faster, more expedient process is to do a line stop. Not a stupid question, I know.
No.
Can you explain what a line, I can imagine what it is, but can you
Right.
explain how
Yeah.
that facilitates the repair?
Right. So a line stop, oftentimes, if we don't have a valve to be able to isolate the leak, oftentimes when we're repairing a pipeline, we have to decrease the pressure. We have to de-energize the pipeline to be able to get down there and repair it. If we don't have an adequate valve or a valve that's working properly, we have to install what's called a line stop. And what that is essentially it's an isolation point. It's like a gate valve that's installed in the pipeline while the pipeline is pressured. And what that does is it isolates the pipeline and allows for operators to get in there and repair the leak.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So one last question. So you mentioned some of the services that these 3 contractors provided, and halfway through the year, we've expended almost all of the budget halfway through the year.
Correct.
Is most of that because of these leaks, or?
Yes, it is
What
because of,
percentage of that spend would be because of leaks? The majority, I guess?
yes, correct. It is a majority. Those 3 leaks that I had mentioned, the 2 on Gladstone and then the one up at GMR at our booster station, those are probably take up about more than probably 75% of those costs for.
So
for
actually,
each
one last
contract.
question then, I'm so sorry. So you were saying that you have a mid-year review of the budget. Is that 70, is the 225? I was kind of looking at the number column wise versus total wise. Would 75,000 per vendor actually cover expected expenses for the rest of the year?
Yes, because that is essentially until June 30th. And, so once we average the amount of leaks that we've averaged per, annual, that is enough. We're projecting that that's enough to cover us until June 30th, which is when we then request new budgets for leak repairs.
But what if it didn't? Then what happens? Let's say you become to May or June and there's more of it. Is there a process to fund more to that, or how? does
No,
it work?
absolutely. And we can definitely, at that point, we can definitely allocate additional funds if we need to. In order for us to increase the contract amount, we would also have to come back to council to increase that amount.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Justin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To me, this kind of tracks. Everything is costing more, and obviously our pipes are pretty old. So the leaked number I think is high, but not surprising. So I'd move to recommend this, and I think Commissioner Cece, I think it was, I think it was a great question to ask. Is it going to cover enough? But we have another meeting in between as well, so. Hopefully we can stay under that exceed amount, but we definitely want to make sure that there's enough in there.
Great.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, question. I know staff doesn't, that's what keeps you up at night, main breaks, so I know you're not out there causing them. Who inspects the work of these outside contractors? Is there somebody in-house or do you have an outside inspector?
No, it's all in-house right now.
Thank you.
And these three contractors, are they on call for, like, say, earthquake repair damage, if you have a massive earthquake and pipeline repairs?
Yeah, any type of emergency, they are on call 24/7 for us.
Okay. And are they located relatively close, like within a 20-25 mile radius?
I believe so. I think one of them is located in Irwindale, and then the two other ones are located the northern part of Orange County.
Okay, great.
So then that being said, that actually is a very good point. Earthquake in wherever it was the other day. I didn't feel it, but could happen closer to home, right? I think it's a valid question to ask. Are these three contractors also contracted by any other cities for their emergency repairs? Because if we do have a major disaster of some sort, are they going to come? So do you happen to know if they're kind of splitting themselves amongst other cities for those same emergency services?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So as far as I know, of course, I mean, these are private contractors, so they are going to go and try to get as much business as they can. And as far as I know, some of them do have contracts with other cities as well.
And so to alleviate that concern, Commissioner, one of the things that we're looking at in the next budget cycle is to expand our contract list, to have more than three contractors, but also to expand the scope of their services, not just pipeline, but, if we can have pump contractors or electricians or things of that nature to cover a wide variety of issues that we may encounter, I think that'll just provide us with redundancy in the event of a calamity such as an earthquake.
Yeah, I mean, really, if a major calamity, right, I guess it's, all for themselves, right? So who knows how many of them are even going to show up to work that day, right? Given their own personal situations. Or as the chair was saying, are they close by, right? So yeah, redundancy, even just under contract, even if they're not providing active services, whatever it may be, it could be good. I don't know. I mean, the possibility of earthquakes ever since I moved closer to the mountains, I've lived around here my entire life, but for some reason being closer to the mountains kind of freaks me out a little bit since I know we're closer to San Andreas Fault than I was before. So yeah, it's just something to. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you guys are looking at doing that. That would be good to have that redundancy just in case.
Does the city ever pay for on-call premiums to jump to the front of the line?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Or maybe the next best thing is to have, 4, 5, 6 contractors on your standby call out list. So you make sure you can get at least one of them.
We'll certainly look into that.
And I assume that with the new rate study coming up, that maybe we'll have a little more aggressive pipeline replacement program put in place?
Absolutely, absolutely. So they'll actually do a complete evaluation of our pipeline and prioritize it by criticality. So we'll have projects to be undertaken within the first 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years subsequently. So we'll have a much more aggressive pipeline rehabilitation program as well as a maintenance program as well.
All right.
I have a question. So if there's a line break somewhere, valve break, whatever it may be, I don't know if you can quantify this. How much water's lost? I mean, is it a lot or is it a slow leak or what is typically the situation?
It really depends. So part of my team's reporting and documenting is when they do make the repairs, they make a report of what they used, how large the leak was, an estimate of the duration of how long we believe the leak was there from the time it was called in to the time we repaired it. I keep a water loss record. And then based on the information that's given to me from my team out in the field, I calculate that water loss based on the size. And usually, for the most part, probably about 75% of the leaks that are happening, it's usually going to be about maybe 1/8 of an inch to 1/16 of an inch hole. And there could be maybe 2 or 3 of those on our steel lines that are popping up within, about 6 inches of each other. So,
What is your annual water loss figure?
so that's a good question. I just got into this position and I'm sort of keeping a record right now of everything. There was some looking in the past, there was some stuff that was hard to find. So right now we are working on that documenting.
And Commissioner Rick, to answer that question, we are working closely with the state. Really when it comes to water loss, there's 2 components. You have your wet loss, due to leaks, fire hydrants, but you also have your what is known as apparent loss, which is due to meter inaccuracies and things of that nature. So we are working with the state to develop a log sheet that can adequately track the losses that we experience here and also make sure that we're doing everything that we can to reduce those losses on an annual basis.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And one last question.
Yes.
No.
This is a good
Go
great
ahead.
learning experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done my research prior to interviewing with the city council,
Okay.
but this is good information. A good learning experience for me. Again, maybe a silly question. How is leak detected? Is it detected by seepage up to the surface or do you have meters down or some kind of detection device down there? I mean, if you have a meter or you have a line so many feet below the ground, how do you know
Correct.
there's a leak there?
Usually when it surfaces, that's when we'll find out.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So we don't have, there are leak detection equipment out there that does cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But most 99% of it is just when it does surface.
So you think gravity would take the water and percolate downwards, but it actually
No.
does seep to the surface?
Oh yeah, because of the
That's-
pressure of the line.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, could I have a motion to make a recommendation to the city council to increase the contract amount for emergency call out services for fiscal year 22-23 by a total amount not to exceed $225,000?
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved, second?
Second.
Second?
Okay,
It's been moved and seconded?
motion was made by Commissioner Holmes and seconded by Commissioner Cece, correct? Okay, so now I will conduct an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Cece?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Vice Chair Nakano?
Yes.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Hanson, these recommendations are advisory to the city council. Is that how they're taken or is?
That's my understanding, is they're just advisory.
That is correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Very nice, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 8, update on the engineering division water CIP program. Strategic Plan 46 IMCIF. Call upon Principal Engineer Malaya Ansari to give us a report. Hi, Malaya.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. My name is Malia Ansari. I'm Principal Engineer with the Engineering Division. Tonight, I will be giving an update on Engineering Division's Water CIP program. Next slide.
You
please.
actually have a controller right there in front of you. So you can do it.
Can I just ask what
Okay.
CFP stands for?
Capital Improvement Program
Good on that.
or Capital Improvement Projects. The P is,
Capital
either way.
improvement projects.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. At this time, there are eight active projects currently in design or construction. 5 projects are from fiscal year 21-22. 4 are under construction award phase and 1 is in design phase. 2 projects are from fiscal year 19 to 21. 1 is already completed and 1 is in construction started, delayed because of material procurement, which is overall industry problem. And 1 is the pump and booster station project from fiscal year 18-19 project is already completed. The active project list, let me go over them quickly. Bennett, Westridge, Washington, Bender Water Improvement Project. This is combined with the street improvement project. It will replace 7,000 linear foot of 8-inch pipe. Project is, as I mentioned, it's combined together with the street project. The water portion is going to be almost $3 million. Water is, this project is going for council award on February 14th council meeting.
That go over in front of Sandburg Middle School?
Yes, sir.
But
Ro-
the street, not the work of pipe.
And the work of the pipe will be starting from Branca Avenue, Sandburg, La Fetra, and going towards west up to Pennsylvania.
And you'll do that in the summer when schools aren't in session?
Yes, that is a condition for construction, that the work will be done during a school break.
Thank
Water and street portion both, we are awarding in February 14th council meeting, and at this time, we are not sure that what will be the material procurement status will be. Hoping that it can be done in this summer, we will see how that will go. The second project is Cumberland, Palomar, Lone Hill Country Club and Country Club Vista Water Main replacement, different areas. Those are in the northeast portion of the city are combined together. Staff is working on, this will replace almost 4,100 linear foot of pipe. Staff is working on the award process, and the award will be going in the month of March, first meeting in March. Monoloa, Linfield, Dwell, Minnesota. This is area that is east of Glendora Avenue between Monoloa and the Wash. This project is already awarded on January 24th council meeting. Chlorine metering pump replacement at San Gabriel plant and water yard. This project is already awarded and start of construction is in pending depending on material supply. North Glendora Reservoir replacement design. This is a project we will discuss it in detail after this. Cossack Place, St. Vladimir, Lawford, that is in vicinity of Glendora High School. This project is already completed. Staff is working on the project closeout. Like I mentioned, since we combined the water and street both projects, so water portion was completed a couple months earlier. It was delayed because of asphalt supply and street paving. So we will do the project closeout together. Bender Carter Santa Fe, Newburgh. This is a project that is in the southwest quadrant of the city. Project has been awarded. Construction start is pending because of material procurement. Once contractor secure all the material, then we will start the construction. Gladstone Reservoir and Booster Demolition Project, that was out of service reservoir at in the Gladstone Park, and we had demolished it. The area that after demolition is used to extend the parking lot in the park to provide better park facilities, enhancement of the community services. So now I'd like you to show about the North Glendora Reservoir project. This reservoir is on the very north end of the Glendora Avenue. Currently, it serves 50 to 60 homes in the area. Existing capacity of the reservoir is 318,000 gallons. It is a bolted steel material installed in 1997. It was observed that the tank is corroded heavily and major leaks were observed, as you can see in these pictures. The proposed project will be 2 welded steel reservoirs. As you can see, first a new reservoir will be built, and after that the existing reservoir will be taken out of service. And once the new reservoir is in service, then the old reservoir will be replaced with a new reservoir. Both new tanks or reservoirs will be 50 feet diameters, welded steel, and the usable volume of the combined 2 tanks will be 499,400 gallons. Minimum volume required is 438,240 gallons. So that will provide us an additional 12 to 13% capacity for the future usage.
What does that mean? I'm sorry.
Like the capacity required for the existing usage, that is. So for this project, design consultant, the design cost is $474,465,000. Design consultant is AKM Consulting Engineers. There is to start the project, since it is by the hillside, we did a comprehensive land surveys. Johnson and Frank Associates were the surveyors. Survey is done. It also because of its location, it's need environmental study that is ongoing. We have another consultant who are doing the environmental study, and because of the season, their study will take longer and it will be completed by after the rainy season, when the vegetations and the birds are back in the consultant are working on the layout and design parameters. Design is 60% design is already completed and is under review with the city. And we are hoping that the design will be finished by May to June of this year. Once the design is complete, we have the estimate cost. We will go back to the council and start the construction bidding process. So this concludes my presentation for tonight. The staff recommend Water Commission to receive and file the update on Engineering Division Water CIP program.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, report. We have any questions from David? David's got a question. Are you?
No, I don't.
Well, you need to turn your green light.
Well,
The design cost, that's not construction cost, that's simply for the design.
Yes,
Construction will be something.
correct.
Is it? So this is to serve 50 to 60 homes, and we have how many dwellings, how many residences in the city? Thousands, right?
Right.
Is it typical to have a project, what seems to be so expensive for such a small community like that?
So this project was actually brought forth by the State Water Resources Control Board by regulation. So every 4 years, the state, they conduct an inspection of all of our infrastructure and facilities. They deemed this particular reservoir as a significantly deficient infrastructure. which means that we, as a city, as a water agency, we have to develop a plan, a correction plan within a year. And so, and really this falls in line with our ongoing assessment, you know, in terms of improving our infrastructure, enhancing storage capacity and things of that nature. So we eventually would have replaced it anyway, but it has been expedited due to state regulations.
Mike, I think you got a question?
Yeah, how many stages you have to boost the water up there? Is it? Two? Okay, so it's coming off Sierra Madre going up there and Glendora Avenue then, so is that reservoir provide fire protection too? Is that? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Two reservoirs also give us redundancy if one needs to be taken out of
Yeah.
service for maintenance, and also added fire protection.
Was there a corrosion problem up there too?
Yes,
Okay, so
Yeah.
they'll implement that in the design, so.
yeah, insufficient coatings. The tank has been leaking for a while and we really didn't have any options but for replacement.
Thank you.
Just one last question. How does it provide fire protection? And I mean, the water's up there, but in what?
Well, with
Is-
having two reservoirs, additional storage, that gives us additional fire protection, and also in the event of any major earthquakes or something, we will have also storage.
Okay, thank you.
The timing of this, since it looks like the design's not gonna be done until May, you're gonna fall out of the budget cycle. So how are you going to are you gonna go ahead and include the engineer's estimate as the cost?
Right, so essentially what's gonna happen is once we start the new budget cycle, we will include an engineer's estimate, as that's how much we will plan to allocate for the new budget cycle. That'll be engineer's estimate, which typically includes about a 10% contingency for construction.
What are you finding with bids these days? Are they coming in quite a bit over
Absolutely.
engineer's estimate?
Absolutely. So currently, we actually estimate that the construction of this reservoir is going to be anywhere from about $5 to $6 million. But we are noticing and observing that bids are coming up significantly higher than estimated.
Then the engineer should pay the difference.
What was that? The engineer should pay the difference?
Okay, thanks, Malia.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Oh, Justin, you have any, you're up there on the screen. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No questions.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion to receive and file an update on the Engineering Division's Water CIP program? Motion by Pat.
Actually, I got it from Commissioner Thomas that he voted
Oh.
motion. I told you. So then we'll do second, third.
Okay, we got Commissioner Thomas has moved and Pat seconding.
Okay, so now I will open up the vote so that way you guys can vote. And then also I will do an oral roll call vote. Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Commissioner Cece?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nakano?
Yes.
Chair Hansen?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, with that, we're towards the end of the agenda. Commissioner, staff, closing comments, any comments from staff first?
Yes, again, I want to just thank our new commissioners as well as our existing commissioners. As always, we value your input and we look forward to working together.
Justin, you always have something to say?
Hey, Mr. Chair. No, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. As far as like conservation outreach things, if you ever need a commissioner standing there with you guys, happy to do so. Just reach out.
Oh, Mike?
Thank you. Staff, excellent. Thank you very much. Very well prepared, very knowledgeable. Appreciate it.
Same here. I mean, it was again, for me, my first meeting, very informative. So thank you for fielding all my questions.
Great. All right, with that, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone as well, and welcome to the 3 new commissioners here on the board. And I think with the years that I've been here, this is the first time we've had actually 5 commissioners in attendance. And because of that, we went a few minutes longer than normal, but great presentation, staff, great questions from the commissioners. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:50. Thank you.